Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. The single thing in my experience that stops most people with alcohol problems getting sober is a fear of alcohol withdrawal. One of my very good American friends once described alcohol withdrawal and drug withdrawal as the cost of doing business, which sort of resonated with me because it is sort of, isn't it? But that fear, sometimes of the unknown and sometimes of the known, because if you've been through it before, you'll know what's coming, can hold a lot of people back and stop them getting sober. In this video, I just want to allay a few of those fears and point you in the right direction, really, of how to approach withdrawal, because there are many different severities of alcohol withdrawal depending on so many different things: the length of time you've been drinking, the quantities you've been drinking, what you've been drinking, how old you are, how fit you are, how healthy you are, etc. The list goes on and on and on. But people contact me all the time and say, I'm frightened of this, I don't want to, how do I approach it? The first thing I want to say before I say anything else about this subject is that it can be, if you're a very heavy drinker generally, and you've been drinking a long time, it can be a very dangerous thing, alcohol withdrawal. And my advice to you, first of all, if you have any sort of doubts around stopping, and certainly suddenly stopping, it's always best to seek some medical advice and just get a check from a doctor. And you've got to be honest. You've got to open up to the doctor, tell them the truth, tell them exactly how much you've been drinking and what you've been drinking and how long you've been drinking. And then they can help you. Seizures are quite rare, I have to say. In all the, I've probably only known, in all the years I've been dealing with this, I've probably known only 2 people that have had bad seizures. But it is a risk and it is there, particularly with prolonged alcohol abuse. What the doctor will do is either, depending on the quantities you've been drinking, will either recommend a medical detox for you. In other words, you'll go in, I think for probably 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours under medical supervision in a hospital, and you'll be given drug treatment to help ease the symptoms, usually stuff like diazepam or Librium. They'll put you on a drip, normally like a vitamin B drip, and hydrate you, and they'll look after you for that first 48 hours if you've got serious worries around it. For me, in the past when I've done this, and unfortunately, I've done it quite a few times. You see, the thing is, you may be thinking about, looking at this. I think most people who drink alcohol and who've had a hangover have experienced a form of alcohol withdrawal. A hangover is just a very mild form of withdrawal. It's just your body trying to expel the poison you put into it, particularly if you binge drunk the night before, for example. But if you have been drinking for a prolonged period of time, and it doesn't have to be much, trust me on this, you could be 3 to 4 glasses of wine a night, or even less in some cases, but you're doing it every night and every day, and you're probably drinking more at the weekends, and you've been doing that for quite a long period of time, then there is going to be a withdrawal. So medical advice if you're worried, first of all. If not and you want to stop, some people will recommend that you reduce your alcohol intake. In other words, you sort of ration it each day. I have to tell you that in my experience, having talked to probably thousands of alcoholics who tried to stop and drug addicts, this approach is extremely difficult and very rarely works. If it has worked for you, fair enough. But in my experience, it never works, because that reduction, you've only got to have something happen in your life which will kick you backwards. and that reduction will suddenly escalate. And you'll end up drinking more than you did before you tried to reduce. It just doesn't work. So if you're not going to seek medical advice, you're going to go cold turkey. You want to allay the fear really around it. You may have tried to do it before and had a really bad experience around it. Because, as I said, it's the cost of doing business. And it is going to be unpleasant. There's no getting around that. Someone once said to me, it's a rite of passage, and it's a funny way of describing it. But in a sense, you've got to go through it. There's no other way to get sober. You've got to go through it. So you have got to take responsibility and develop this warrior mindset that I talk about on my channel quite a lot. You've got to focus in, take responsibility, grit your teeth and get through it. Now, on this channel, you'll find several lengthier videos explaining how to prepare for alcohol. If you're going to do this yourself, how to prepare for alcohol withdrawal. It also explains in these videos what's actually happening to your body, because knowledge is power in a lot of sense, because a lot of people get frightened when they feel certain things happening to their body, and alcohol withdrawal is scary. There's no doubt about it. So, and obviously so is opiate. I've had opiate withdrawal as well. It's scary. But alcohol withdrawal, there's a much more of in my experience, this is much more of an anxiety. There's a lot of issues around your blood pressure and your heartbeat racing and heart skipping beats, and it's a scary place to be. That and if you're really unlucky, you won't be able to stop your whole body from shaking. Delirium tremens are a real issue around heavy drinkers who are trying to stop. So the shaking, the hot and cold sweats, the panic, which exacerbates all these other things, the massive anxiety, the lack of energy, these palpitations that are happening in the rapid heartbeat, and then possibly hallucinations and lack of sleep, and the list goes on and on. So it isn't present, but as I said, there's literally different forms and different severities of this. So look back at my videos on the best way to cope with this, because there is a way of doing it that is more comfortable, I say more comfortable. You can make it as comfortable as you can possibly make it by being prepared before you do it. Preparation is the key, getting everything in place, and that includes all your nutrition prepared for the period of time you're going to go through this, so you don't have to produce any food. It's all done, bought and prepared. Having supplements in, having enough water in, having stuff like simple things like clean clothes and clean bed sheets, all to hand, all done and ready, because it is really unpleasant lying in your own sweat. You're going to be vomiting a lot, and you're going to have horrible gastroesophageal reflux syndrome, or disease, or GORD, which is another symptom. You'll be vomiting constantly during withdrawal, and you'll find it difficult to swallow. And so have all that stuff, your antacids and your other stuff, Pepto-Bismol and everything else you need, all there and prepared, so you don't have to leave. Ibuprofen, paracetamol, everything there for you. Let people know what you're going through so they can check in on you and come in, and you'll get support and help around it wherever you can. These are all really important things which will help allay the fears. But when you understand what's happening to your body, and the fact that because of your heavy drinking, you've changed your brain chemistry, you've changed your body chemistry with this prolonged drinking, your body is essentially stopped producing dopamine. It's stopped producing serotonin and other and endorphins and stuff like that. It won't suddenly start doing it again. You've affected your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands will race, which is why you can't sleep, and the anxiety will come. You've affected your hypothalamus, so your temperature control's all out, so you'll be sweating. But if you know what's happening to you, you can approach it and grit your teeth and know that this too shall pass. You will get through this. If I can do it, you can do it. And if you've got the right mindset when you go in and you're fully prepared, it's probably 3 to 4 days of pain, if you like. Once you're out through the other side of that, each day gets slightly better as long as you hold on and get through those first few days. That's the important thing. But have a look at my other videos on the channel on that. And if my videos have been any help to you at all, or any family member, and you want to help support the channel and help me take it a bit further, I really need your help. Just take a minute to click on the link in the description and have a read and find out how you can do that. I'll be really grateful and much appreciate that. So my friends, develop the warrior mindset, get prepared, understand what's going to happen to you. You will get through the fear, and most of the worst things that happen in your life are in your imagination. So you always imagine it's going to be worse than the reality. And the reality is you can do this, you can get through this, and you can find a sober life. It will be the greatest and the best thing you've ever done for yourself and for those who love you. Carpe diem, seize the day today. Make today the day you change your life, and plan it in now. Thank you. Bye-bye.